an important point that you raised there, and that is that these 3 women were arrested by the police, and the police did confirm that they were in their hands. And then something happened in between. The police started denying that they ever had those people. But you raise a fundamental point. When the police arrest you, you cannot refuse to be arrested. Otherwise, that becomes a crime in itself. So you hand yourself over to the police, and then the police hand you over to people who you and I don't know.
Well, exactly. And that's why this is such a serious deterioration in the human rights situation in the country. And let me tell you, Trevor, that the international community has picked up on this. In the last week, to give you one example, I've had a series of conversations with Helen Clark, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. And she is outraged by this, not just because they were women, but because everyone knows that in civilized societies, the police are there primarily to protect people. They are there to uphold the law, not to put people into danger, and not to break the law so flagrantly and brazenly as happened in this case.
Beatrice, what we gather is that...
And Trevor, you can see that there's an attempted covering up.
Mm-hmm.
When you get the national police spokesman being told not to give information unless he has actually cleared it with the Commissioner General, it becomes quite obvious that they are attempted covering up because there's no genuine, credible story to tell. And the only way to avoid what is an obvious mess up by the security forces is to withhold information. I mean, in any country that claims to be a democracy, the police spokesman actually ought to be telling us how persons arrested by the police ended up somewhere in Bindura having been tortured, not to be told not to talk to us. And this for me is particularly painful because we were told that the new dispensation would do things differently from the Mugabe dispensation. And in particular, we have people in government who are subjected to this kind of thing by the previous regime, who now appear to be quite happy to have police who will abduct and torture with no consequence whatsoever thereafter. That is so worrying for me because it means we cannot trust the politicians out there. You know, we don't know whether when the MTC goes in, they'll do the same thing because it's become a culture. There's no openness. They are not accountable to anyone. A police spokesman who ought to be explaining to the nation has been told to shut up and only to speak when his boss tells him to speak. I mean, what sort of democracy is that?